I'm Leslie, and this is my God story. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I have two younger brothers. We lived just a normal life. We had a nice childhood, lived in a nice neighborhood. We had private school, and I think that I was really fortunate to have such a great family growing up. When I was 19, I got married. My dad walked me down the aisle. I had a beautiful wedding. I thought life was wonderful once again. A month to the day after I got married, my dad walked out the door. Fast forward a few years, and I've had 4 daughters, 4 great kids. I'm still struggling with my relationship with my dad. He remarried, and I remember one time I asked him to come and babysit for me, and I thought that was a great way for him to spend some time with his granddaughters, for me to get a little break, and it was going to be good for everybody. I got home, I'm going to guess around 10 o'clock maybe that night. I heard hooping and hollering, the kids were running around the house, and my dad was passed out drunk on the couch. You know, I knew all along that drinking was an issue for him, but it never occurred to me that he would bring drinking to my house when he was babysitting for his own granddaughters. I couldn't believe that he would do that to me, and more importantly, do that to them. So we didn't see each other for a very long time. I wanted nothing to do with him. I felt like I had been betrayed and he had betrayed my daughters. I realize now, I look back and I see the hurt, the anger, the betrayal. You know, here's a person that I was daddy's girl. He was someone I looked up to, and he chose alcohol. He chose alcohol over everything. And I don't know that I really ever came to terms with that. I think that he betrayed us. Several years later, when my daughter got into junior high, we were involved with a great Methodist church that had a spectacular youth program, and we got involved doing things with the homeless. And this particular Sunday, the youth had filled up a bunch of tube socks with toiletries, and we were handing those out. And the line was crazy long. There's just so many homeless out there. And I had turned around to the van to restock for the youth, and when I turned back around, there was my dad. The man that walked me down the aisle, that taught me how to ride a bike. All those things were standing there in that line. I absolutely froze. I turned around and I didn't know what to do. It had been so many years, and I still had a lot of anger and a lot of hatred towards him. Here's my dad I grew up with, that we seem to have had everything, and he's living in a homeless shelter. I couldn't take him home. It's not like after all these years I could erase everything that happened, and I had young daughters to take care of. I couldn't just allow my feelings at the time to overpower my good judgment. He had been keeping up with my brothers and I. I'm not really certain how, but he knew what was going on in our lives. But he told us he did not want us to contact him, that he had made a lot of really bad choices in his life, and that he was living his own hell on earth. And I will never, ever forget those words. Many years later, I was contacted by a family friend that he had had a stroke, and he was in a nursing home in Dallas. And I went to see him. I walked into that room and saw a shell of my father. That wasn't the man that I grew up with. When asked if he knew who I was, he said no, he didn't. But then when we asked him about me or my brothers, he could tell us stories. He told us crazy stories that he remembered about us growing up. In some ways, I guess that gave me a little peace that even though his mind was gone, his heart was still in the right place, and he still had a special place for my brothers and I, even after a really, really rough life. I don't know that people understand what it's like to actually live or go down that path with someone that's been homeless and someone that's close to you. But these men are someone's father. He was my father. They're someone's brother or son. They're not just strangers on the street, and that's what people miss. I can't bring back my dad, and I can't change what happened in my life. But if I can help one person homeless find their path just a little bit easier, that's what God had us here for. For a story that seemed like it was a really troubled story to start with, I think it had a really happy ending. I'm Leslie. This is my God story. What's yours?